do it. It's recording. Okay. I always like have to wait and then it like shows up a second later. So I am so excited, you guys. We do these every Sunday, sometimes at 9, sometimes at 9:30. It just depends on if it's just me or if we have a guest or we have somebody else out there, popping on with us. And so I'm just really excited because I'm telling you, you guys, plugging into these things. I don't care if you've heard me say the same thing a million times over every single Sunday or whatever. And you're like, okay, Kenzie, like I've heard you say it, like I'm good. But I'm telling you, like when you come in here together and we are just plugging in and like this is like our fire, right? Like we all know the closer you get to the campfire, right? The warmer that you are, the more heated you are, right? And so it's kind of like that for your business, for like inspiration and goals and motivation and all of that. And I promise when you plug into things like this, especially live, you know what I mean, when you can, it really truly does make a difference. Because I could have like such a crappy day, but I will hop on Zoom with you guys, whether I'm talking or somebody else is talking. And I've never left, not one time have I ever left a Zoom and I didn't feel so excited and just like ready to do the damn thing. Okay. So I really appreciate you guys plugging into yourself, your business, and each other by showing up tonight. Really appreciate it. I'm so excited because you guys were interviewing April from our very own team tonight, you guys. She's been in since mid-April. And her name's April. It was just meant to be, I guess. So she's been in for 3 months. And actually, I think it's like just a couple days shy of your official like 3-month anniversary, right? Because I think you joined like April 13th or something. So yeah, you guys, she's awesome. I'm gonna give her like a little bit of a intro, and then I'll have her share a little bit of her story, a little bit of why she decided to like get started, and stuff like that. And I really want to dig into, just some consistency tips, because I think that that's something that we all need to hear, and we need to hear it often, like all of us, me included, you guys. But anyway, so April was my customer. We met, I somehow on Facebook. I don't even remember exactly. It probably was like a host to post or something.
It was a host to post.
Was it? Okay. And, and she became my customer, and she was consistent with the product. She loved them. And I pitched the business to her, and I've just like, you know what I mean? Like followed up occasionally with her, and like consistently with her. And eventually she joined. Right. And so I don't know. And she is one of those people, because you know how you have one of those customers or one of those people on your Facebook that are like, gosh, like they should do this business. Like, I wish they would just say yes. Like, I wish they would just do it. She was one of those people for me that I was just like, man. And it's one of those people where you can kind of be like, gosh, should I stop asking? You know what I mean? Like, I've asked her like 8 times now. Like, maybe she's just gonna like eventually just write me off or something, or eventually say like, stop asking me or something like that. She's one of those people that, where you're like, goodness, I followed up so many times, and you almost feel like giving up on asking that person, right? But I'm telling you, don't do it. Do not stop asking. Do not stop following up. Do not stop reaching out, because they eventually say yes. So, April, I'm going to turn it over to you here in a second, and just know, you guys, like she has such like a busy schedule, like just like we all do. We all have a really busy schedule. She's going to tell you a little bit about it and like all that craziness too. She's a mom of 2 boys, and I'm just really, really proud of her and her consistency in the way that she shows up, because I think it's important. And yeah, so April, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you just tell your version of it, and then I'll start asking you some questions on tips and stuff.
Fair enough. Hello, everybody. So I'm not usually one of those really big outgoing kind of people, but for the sake of this, I will absolutely be all over it. Kenzie is absolutely correct. I started working with her with some of her products through a host to post, and it was just the keto coffee and the chocolate greens, which I enjoyed the flavor of them. I did only use them for 3 months, and then I had stopped. And then I work at a hospital, so as everybody knows, healthcare is fluctuating. You either have a job or you don't. You're part-time, you're full-time, you're somewhere in between. And the way everything had been going with the hospital that I work at, and then with COVID, and it was just, I needed something extra. I needed something a little bit more, whether it was full-time, part-time, but I needed something as a backup plan. And that's exactly how this started when I decided to do that this year. And I don't remember if, I'm pretty sure Kenzie probably like reached out and was like, hey, I got this promotion going on. What do you think? And I'm pretty sure that's kind of how this started with me. And I finally was like, screw it, I'm all in. I enjoyed the product last year when I was trying it for the 3 months. And she is not wrong about being the poster child for the busy mom. Because let me tell you, yes, I actually have 3 children. One of them is 19. He lives in New Jersey, but the 2 that are here
Yeah,
at
sorry.
home.
I
No,
realized
no,
that
it's
after I
okay.
said 2, I was like, oh, whoops. I was like, I meant 3.
No, that's perfectly fine. The 2 that do live here at home with my husband and I, they're 8 and 3, soon to be 4 in September. But both of them are high functioning autism. We kind of knew that they were both on the spectrum somewhere, but when we got their diagnosis, it became real. Um, so with an autism diagnosis, I don't know if anybody's familiar with any of it, and they're high functioning. So I say that lightly because they both are verbal. They both seem like normal children, but there are other things with that. Um, Along with an ASD diagnosis comes a lot more responsibility with being that parent to do the doctor's appointments, and then there's the counseling sessions because my 8-year-old's going puberty now, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, he doesn't understand exactly what his body goes through, and he doesn't understand the emotions with it. Um so being on top of that, and then I work full time outside of the home, so there's your 40 to 60 plus hours a week there. So I'm definitely the busy mom, and the only time I seem to think that I can do anything is early in the morning. So I get home from midnight. Uh, I spend about an hour with my husband. That's our time. My kids are in bed, and then I still get up early. I'm usually up between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, and that's mom time. That's my quiet coffee time. That is, my homework time because I am a full-time student on top of all of this. Um, so I have mom time. That's all about me. That's, my shower time. That's my homework time. That's my working my business time. That's all me. So that starts my day all over again. 4.5 hours of sleep tops, maybe.
Yes, which is so crazy. I forgot to mention that part of it too when you were when I was introducing you, is you being a student on top of that. And you know what's really crazy, you guys, is I just thought of this too when April was talking. And back when we are like when COVID started happening and we're all like, man, I wonder if any, like, how was it going to affect my business, right? We all probably thought that if you were in before the virus and everything like that, you're probably like, oh gosh, like people are going to be freaking out because they don't have any money. But you guys, we have people that are just like April who are like, wait a minute, like I need something else. I'm a busy mom of 3. I am a full-time student taking online courses. I am working at a hospital 40 to 60 plus hours a week. I need something else. You know what I mean? Like I need something else to help with all of that. And so don't forget, like there's so many people out there, like, and mostly like you guys too, is probably same reason why we all joined, of like, man, I need something else, And so it's pretty cool to see, not and then all of the changes and everything that's been happening and all of that and stuff like that. And so what I want you to share too is that okay, so a lot of times, like if you're in certain chats that we're in or something like that, or even April is shared in the group, you know what I mean? Like she said, she's like at home, right? Like by midnight or so when you get home after work, and then she's like do like posting in the chat or posting in the team page like on Power Hour at 7:30. Like you guys, like she helps keep me in check. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like I'm always like, thank you, April. Like shout out, April. So and I appreciate that. And the reason why I say this too is because sometimes we know that like we all know like we need sleep obviously to function, right? It's important for our bodies to get sleep and to get rest and to eat and all the things, right? But what I want to point out is that she knows I'm at work at this time. I know I need to get my school done at this time. My kids need such and such and such at this time. And then like when school was happening, I know that you were also having like certain Zooms and different things like that for the boys at certain times. And you knew when those were scheduled as well. And so you're like, okay, my me time, whether that included stuff with the business or stuff for school or just you being like, being a priority of yourself, you're like, okay, this is the window. This is the window of when I can do it. And you guys, like, she has stuck to that. Like every morning, like she is up, she is working on, if she's not working on school, like if her kids are sleeping and not up yet, and she's either working on school or she's working on the business or she's working on both. Like she's doing it. And so can you tell us what are you doing in the morning? What are you making sure that you do in the morning so you get that done and out of the way before people wake up, before you got to start getting ready for other life things and work and all that stuff? What are you making sure it's done?
I to be honest with you, when I first joined and you had told me on the e-suites about the whole document section, I my first week, I think, in the business, I went through every document that is in there just to look at it, just to familiarize myself with it. And I came upon the lovely task sheet. So that, by all means, that keeps me on track with the business. My day has to consist of, and unfortunately, maybe I'm OCD. Sometimes I think I am, but I have to do things in the order that I do them every day. I get my skinny brew going. I do what I need to do for me. I pull out my tracker. I go down the whole daily task list, and I do it faithfully every morning, whether we are meeting in a Zoom or not. And I do it because I know that once I get to work, I may not have that chance. And we're talking 8 full hours. When COVID was going on, my unit got shut down because it was a non-telemetry unit. We were the only non-telemetry unit in the hospital. So therefore, everybody who came in that was possible COVID had to be on a monitored floor. So they shut us down, and I ended up going to an ICU unit that had positive patients on it. So I had time because I had absolutely not a lick of interaction with anything except the doctors at that point. So I had all the time in the world to sit down, and I could join in at the 9:30 Zoom meetings at night. I was in stealth mode, but I could join in. Now that I'm back on my unit, we have opened completely up, and I'm beyond busy. So at 9:30 at night, when you guys are sitting down, I can't partake. So therefore, I get up early in the morning, and that is my time to do what I need to do, whether it's with Kenzie when you're on, I'll jump on with you. Crystal, when you're on, I'm on with you guys. And even on days that you're not, I'll still log into Zoom just in case somebody shows up. But I do it because I like to be proactive. I feel like I have absolutely lost all control of my entire day if I don't follow those orders, because I need to know where I stand at certain times of the day. I need to know that when I leave for work, my customers are taken care of. I need to know that when I leave for work, my potential distributors are taken care of. Every question is answered, every period is on my sheet of paper, every T is crossed, every I is dotted. I need to know that everything is in order before I leave, because in that 8-hour span, I may not get a chance to jump back online.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And I'm just gonna keep shouting you out for this too. Like she said, you guys, like even if we aren't on, she is on. She is still jumping into that daily task list, you guys. And that daily task list that she's talking about, that she found in the eSuite, it's right in our eSuite. So when you log into your account, click document library, and you can type daily tasks or whatever. I think that's what it's called at the top, right? Daily task, right? On there in the search bar, and it'll pull it up like corporate art. Like that's straight from corporate is what she's even following. And it's basically what our 6 list is, you guys. It's just posting, messaging, following up, growing your network. Personal development, I believe, is probably on there, but it like breaks it down even more for you. And so if you do need something like that to help keep you organized, go and check that sheet out in the eSuite and see if that's something that you might find helpful to keep you organized. And even if that exact sheet doesn't do it for you, you can kind of pull your own ideas from there and be like, well, I like how they have it here, but if it was changed a little bit here, I mean, do your own thing. That's fine too. And just get that for inspiration. But also the fact that she's doing it, you guys, regardless if there's a Zoom on, if someone's hosting a Zoom, if I'm reaching out to her and telling her, hey, April, did you get your 10 host posts up today? No, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, she's doing it. She's doing her host post, and she's making sure that she's doing it before her other commitments are set to be there. You know what I mean? Because she knows she works 3 to 11. I know I'm going to work 3 to 11. So I know that before that time, and I know my kids get up about this time, so I'm going to make sure that my butt's up early and I'm taking care of this, you know. And like I said, she's also not getting up early for the business. She's also getting up early to make sure her school stuff is done too. And there's days where April has even told me where she got ahead with school. She was like, well, I know that I have a little bit more free time. So she even like did more for school than she had to that day. So she had more time for other stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like just taking advantage of those little windows, showing up consistently, deciding to show up. And that's a really big, I think that's a really big part of what we do too, is just like deciding, you know what I mean? Like just deciding. And, you know, kind of like how I was going to mention it at the beginning of the Zoom, but you know, sometimes, because I was like, we all need this, right? We all need to be reminded to be consistent. We all need to be reminded that it's important to be consistent in the ways that we can be consistent, and habits that we can form that will help us be consistent. And sometimes even myself, you guys, like, I'm like, how I fall off the wagon. I become inconsistent, right? And like just with different things and different systems and stuff like that. And I gotta like kick myself back in the butt and get back on the horse, right? I fall off, right? And so sometimes I'm, you know, before I'm like hopping on a thing or whatever, and I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, who am I to be talking about consistency when I have trouble with consistency too? But I feel like at the end of the day, that's something that we're all constantly going to be working on, because everything around us changes all the time. Freaking nobody expected all this corona stuff to happen. So hello, like that all is like changing all the time. Not to mention like just daily life stuff changes, like, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like if you can really just set yourself up how April has set herself up the best that she possibly can, and committing to herself, like, I know that this is my window, and if I don't do it now, I know that I'm not going to do it, or I know that I'm going to feel off, or whatever. Like there's been a week where I mean, what was it, like you worked 100 hours in a pay period? It's a pay period, it's 2 weeks, and you worked how many hours in that pay period?
162 hours, I'm sorry.
In 2 weeks she worked, on top of going to school, the business, and like life and all that jazz. So like it's crazy, you know what I'm saying? And so I know that we all have different things, and I don't ever want anybody to take anybody being highlighted of thing of like, well, I can't even do it. No, I want you to have that as inspiration, that if somebody is doing this, then that means you can do this too. Like that's what that means. All that it means. Anybody else's successfulness, their routines that they've got down, their habits that they've built are nothing to show you other than you can do it too. That's it. And so I just is there anything that you have used other than the daily task list that you find that is really helpful for you as far as staying in your routine, knowing what you're doing? Like, are you using a host-to-post tracker? Are you using a notebook? Are you using a planner? Do you set alarms? Like, what does all that type of stuff look like for you?
I absolutely have all of that. I have a notebook that it says boss lady on the front of it. So I do use that. I have to write, like you do. I have to write down everybody I talk to. I do use the host-to-post tracker that keeps me on track of who I have utilized. And that also helps out a lot, because there was actually one person who did a host-to-post for me last month, and by the end of the month, he was like, I'm not understanding why I'm still doing these host-to-posts if I don't know who actually won. He's like, you're not showing anything. So the host-to-post tracker actually helps me, because now when the drawings are done, I will share the live feed and I tag everybody who did the host-to-post for me. So, I mean, I do it. I don't know. It's just, I live my life by my phone. I live my life by my planner. I live my life by my notebook. Everything is in order. Everything is consistent. It's just, it's something I have to do because, all these unforeseen circumstances showed up in my life. I didn't expect to go back to school. I had no intentions, but it wasn't until last year when I got laid off. They downsized a lot of the unit clerks, and when they laid me off, I took that to heart. It devastated me because I'm the only one who works. My husband is a stay-at-home parent, um, and he can work by all means, but it was just, my husband is autistic as well as my children, so he understands them better. He understands what their needs and wants are, and it just made it easier to allow him to stay home with them because he understood the level of aptitude that they were at. So I became the full-time workaholic, so when I got laid off, I was devastated, and it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My whole world was upside down. So then I put school into the mix, and I started that in January. And then I'm like, okay, so now I'm super busy. Then, my 3-year-old already had his diagnosis for autism. So I already knew where I stood with that. And then in April is when I actually got my 8-year-old's diagnosis in April. And then I started with It Works April 13th. Mm-hmm. All my pieces of my puzzle had to line up somewhere. So I have a daily notebook. I have a planner. I have my cell phone. I have my task list. I have my host to post tracker. I have it all because I need to run my life in order, because the one thing that I ever forget, and the whole day is completely discombobulated for me. Everything is thrown off. My timing is thrown off. It just, I feel lost. So I have no choice but to have those things in front of me every time. And when I sit down every morning, all of them are all over the table. My phone, my planner, my notebook, my trackers, it's all out because that's how I live my life. I live it all by the planners.
Exactly. And that reminds me too, because people, like, I tell people all the time, like when they tell me like they have like a super crazy busy life or whatever, and I'm like, listen, I'm like, I can tell you from personal experience of people who I've like, even just me have worked with on my team, like the people who are busier, who have a lot going on, are the people that tend to be successful because they figure it out. Like they already know how to play that game of like, listen, I got all these things on my plate. I got to deal with all of this. All right, how I'm going to do it. And then they like figure out that plan. And it's just a matter. So if you ever feel like overwhelmed, or you feel like, like how am I going to do all of this? It's just that you need to like stop for a second and break it down for yourself and figure out, all right, I got to create a system that's going to work for me. And that's why I always tell new distributors, I'm like, number one, everything's going to seem a little crazy in the beginning because you're learning all this new stuff. But once you get down the basics of what we do, you're going to find your own rhythm and be like, listen, like this is when I do this. This is when I do this. I love to do this during this time. And like you develop your own little rhythm, just like you have, and just like a lot of us have with different things. And another thing I wanted to touch on was, okay, so first, real quick, a recap. You used the host to post tracker. You keep a notebook for your potential. So people, you guys that she's talking to on a daily basis, so the people that are commenting on the host to post and things like that, their names are going in her notebook, and she's, people that she needs to follow up with, potential distributors, potential customers, and then the planner, right? And so she's keeping track of when she needs to do things, probably all the things in your planner, right? Things with the business, things for home.
Yes.
Okay. And then also something I wanted to kind of circle back around, you guys, is the length of time that it took her to join, right? So it was about, I don't know, like a year. We'll say around a year. I don't know exactly, but like about a year. Yeah. And so sometimes, we can get frustrated when we're following up. But I can tell you that sometimes the people that it does take forever to join, they have had a chance to also build up more of a stronger feeling and a connection and a why and a reason to really push them to the business. Like, I feel like they have a chance to build up a little bit of their vision before they get started. Because like you're talking to them, and number one, like for April's situation, she had also used the product. She was a customer, so she had experienced how that works. She had experienced the products herself a little bit. But also she experienced, like watching my specific posts, watching that, and then like me following up with her, and then me also like planting belief in her over and over again about like reminding her like you could totally do this. And like I would like specifically remind her like you could do this because XYZ. And like I think I've even said that same thing to you, April, before about us talking previously and about that being a concern of yours because you were busy, and me telling you like, listen, everybody who's busy is super successful at this. So and things like that. And so they kind of get to develop like that vision. They have a chance to really like watch you. Don't get me wrong, there are people that sign up like me. I didn't watch my enroller for very long. I saw like 1 or 2 posts of hers. I met with her, I talked to her, and boom, I was in the business, right? But I didn't take off running like my hair was on fire either. And that's something that April also did too. It was like, I believe her second day in the business, she was texting me, messaging me. She was like, I'm in the bathroom at work replying to all these HOSA posts. She was like, oh. And then she messaged me, she's like, I better get out there before they think something happened to me in here. And she's like, heads back out to work, because she was like going in the bathroom, you know what I mean, while she was at work trying to reply and catch up, because she posted about the giveaway and then it was just like blowing up. And so, it's just another reason why I want to point out though too, like it is important to connect with your why. And April's is also kind of like, it's even just in the last 3 months, you know what I mean, that has grown as far as just us even talking about what she can do with this business, and what her plans are and what it means to her and stuff like that. And so would you like to touch on that at all, April, yourself, as far as like see, like being able to see that, or like maybe having that get a little bit stronger as you were thinking about joining versus and then joining, and then since now, like how your whys like changed a little bit along the way?
My my whys are absolutely because I needed to know that I was secure. Let me take you on a little bit of a personal issue on me. The beginning of the year, I had to undergo a sleep study, and I was told that my heart works way too hard when I'm asleep. And most sleep studies, it's done while you're laying down. I actually fell asleep sitting up. And when they told me that my heart was working way too hard and it was putting me on the verge of a stroke, I knew I needed more for my kids. I knew I needed more for my husband. So I kind of just, I rolled with the punch. I let Kenzie tell me what she needed to about the business. And then I ended up getting super serious when I realized that when, the whole Corona started, I knew that even though I'm working in the healthcare field, I was still considered high risk for contracting the coronavirus. So I took that chance, I dove all in, and I did it all for my family. Because even though my husband thinks that I'm the rock, he truly is, because he's the one who watches the kids all day. He's the one who is up in the middle of the night with my kids. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the situation that I am with the business. I wouldn't be, back in school. I would still be working all these crazy hours. So my why is definitely my family. It took a little bit of convincing, but when the doctor told me, when she sat me down, she was dead serious, and she's like, look, you're on the verge of a stroke. You're 41 years old. She's like, you got to make a change. So it became my why. My why is definitely for my family, and it will always be for my family. And like I told you earlier, it's not that my husband can't work. We chose this when we started having kids. It's easier for me just to do it, and then the two of us to do it. So I'm all in, and there's no changing that. I don't have any regrets. I don't second guess myself. And in the beginning, I did. Don't get me wrong. I did tell Kenzie one day, I think I bit off more than I could chew. There were just so many responses to all my posts. But I stayed consistent with it. I learned how to prioritize. I pulled out all the bells and whistles when it came to the charts, and the task list, the phone, the everything. I wrote it all out. And I sat myself down and I listened to, I believe that we were probably on a morning Zoom. And I knew that I made the right decision. There's no questions there. My why will always be my family, and I will always do what I need to do to take care of them.
Yeah. Could have like ripped my heartstrings right out. Okay, so but yeah, I mean, and that's, and that's it at the end of the day, guys. Like, like my view of the business and stuff before joining was like, oh gosh, it's like all this, like, I didn't even believe anybody really like did things like this for very long. Like, I was just like, oh, like whatever, if I do it and it works and it doesn't, whatever. Like, and then it's like, as you see it, it's like, no, like, y'all, like, network marketing is like creates the most millionaires in the entire world. And even if your brain isn't even set to be a millionaire right now, but just think about it. Like, I mean, if you're sitting in something, if you're sitting in a bucket that's producing more millionaires than any other profession out there, you're in a good place, right? I don't care if you're set your sights on being a millionaire yourself. You're set. I mean, that's showing you that the opportunity is here. And at the end of the day, that all of us can do it. At the end of the day, all of us are going to fall off here and there. And it's just about not beating yourself up about it, figuring out what system works for you, changing your system when it doesn't work anymore for you. And when life switched up on you, you just change your system and you figure out what's going to work for you. And reach out when you need help. Reach out when you have a day, like April said, that she's even had a day where she's like, listen, okay, like, I don't know. And because that happens, and it would happen, you guys, with a business or not. It would happen. You would fall off some sort of wagon no matter what. If it was a different business, or if it was school, or if it was something else in life, we do, right? I mean, that's just how we are. We're human. We are human. So it's a matter of just putting the boots back on, getting back up and going for it. And, I really, really encourage you guys to really make sure you're connected with the reason why you're doing this business. More than just, I want to help people, or more than just, which is a great reason, or more than just, I don't want to work extra shifts, or more than just, I want to buy a car. Like, what do you truly want though? Like, what do you want though? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to make sure that you are around for your family? Do you want to make sure that you are, are able to take care of yourself and your family? God forbid something happen. Or, do you want to not like completely let go of a whole entire job, so that way you can be fully present and decide when you're not going to be present? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to have a decision, because guys, at the end of the day, obviously we all know this business takes effort, this business takes work, this business takes consistency, and it takes you being plugged in and actually like clocking in to your business. Yes, absolutely. But the beauty of it is that we get to decide it. We get to decide it. Like, I was thinking about, I posted in my stories yesterday, I'm like, you know what? This day, this time, I'd be literally trying to take a nap right now so I could get to work and pull a 12-hour midnight shift after working several second and first shifts during the week and school and everything. And just for somebody to like call in and me having to work an extra 4 to put me at a full 16. You know what I mean? Like, no. Like, or like me saying like, hey, to the scheduling lady, her name was Billy Joe. I'd be like, Billy Joe, listen, I need some extra hours. Like, we'd fill out a slip. Like, they would have a list about like, these are the hours that are available. These are the days, the hours, the shifts that are available. You had to request to be able to pick them on which ones that you wanted. Like, you didn't have a choice. You had a choice of a list. That was your choice. With this business, we get a choice any minute of the damn day. We get a choice if we want to wake up before work like April does, and we want to do it then. We get a choice of whether we want to stay up later. We get a choice of whether or not we want to clock in today for 3 hours, or tomorrow for 1, or 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, or 30 minutes, or an hour and then 30 minutes later, whatever it is you want to do. Or 5 seconds while you're hurrying up and answering a message before you hop back in the car, before you got to drive somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we have here. That's a blessing. So whenever, and I'm saying this, guys, and I'm speaking on it because I have to remind myself of this too. Like sometimes like I'll get so overwhelmed with like a bunch of host to post messages and I'm like, and I don't even like want to pick up my phone because I'm like, there's a shit ton of messages there that I know that I need to respond to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got to respond to all of those or something. No, like that's a dang blessing. My inbox is full. Number one, that's a blessing. Number two, I get to decide of when I'm going to respond to those. Like, all right, quick, I'm going to respond to 3. Okay, drive down the road. I'm going to get there. Like, before I go into my appointment, okay, I'm going to respond to 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a doctor's appointment? Cool. Pull up your phone while you're in that waiting room because you know you're going to be waiting. I don't care what appointment you have, you're going to be waiting. Respond to some messages, throw a post up, talk about how you're posting right now from the doctor's appointment and you are having conversations with people on Facebook through your messenger while you're waiting for that doctor to come in. Anybody else feel me that you have a 20-minute wait, you know, just for the doctor to come in, right? Like, ha ha ha. And then like you make, that's a post. Hello. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So sometimes I feel like whenever I am overwhelmed or anything like that, I'm like, dude, it's just because I'm overcomplicating it. I got to stop for a second and break it down for myself because what we do, you guys, is so simple. So simple. Anybody who doesn't even have a Facebook right now can pop in tonight, throw up post a post, get a customer tonight. We can teach them how to do that with starting a Facebook today. You know what I'm saying? And going out and friending their friends and family and one of them posts a host a post up. They could get a customer, right? Without ever even working Facebook before. So what we do is so simple. It's just a matter of, you know, just figuring out that system that works for you that's going to help you stay consistent. And then figuring out what is so important to you that you are going to decide that quitting is not an option for you. Quitting is not an option for you. All that you're going to do is decide that you're going to figure out how it's going to work. That's it. Oh, it didn't work that way. Well, shoot, I better go this way, right? Like, what do you do during a detour? Do you, like, you're on your way somewhere and you're driving and there's like a detour that you didn't expect. You follow the detour, and if the detour takes you somewhere still we're way out of your way, sometimes you try to sneak around the detour, right? We do that too. We're like, oh, this says to go that way, but I know it's really quicker this way, so I'm gonna go this way. And sometimes we go that way, right? You don't go home. You don't turn around and be like, well, didn't know that detour sign was gonna be there. I'm just gonna go home. No, we don't go home. We just figure out a way to get there, right? Sometimes you got to text them and be like, listen, I'm going to be late. I didn't know Meridian Road was going to be closed, but I'm going to be there. Going to be like another 10 minutes, but I'm going to be there, right? We don't go home. We figure out a way to get there. Whether we're following the detour that's there or we create our own way, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But we know that we're trying to get there, right? Because where we're going is way more important than giving up, stopping, and going home. Right? We got somewhere to be. We got somewhere to be because that's where we decided that we're going. And we got people that are waiting on us there. Because I can guarantee you, every single one of you guys that are on this Zoom has someone depending on you. Someone who is a part of your why, right? A lot of times, most of our whys, a person or people are attached to it, right? I mean, if you got to rephrase it and talk to yourself about your why in that sense, like I wouldn't go to my kids and be like, listen, I got really sick of doing host posts and like talking to customers about their late TFX shipments. So I'm going to quit the business. So like, what? No, I'm not going to tell my kids that. I'm not going to tell my kids like, sorry, I couldn't, make the 20-minute extra early wake up call happen every day. So I couldn't be successful at the business. No, I'm not gonna do that. Right? Like we're not, no, like the reason that we're doing it is so much more valuable. It means so much more than any other detour, any other speed bump, any other person whipping out in front of us and getting in our way. You just, yell at them as you're going by and then we just keep on going, right? Like we give them the dirty look a little bit, then you keep on going. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to get at tonight, you guys, is just knowing that it doesn't matter. Like it isn't like just Crystal and I or Jen or anybody else that's been in for a minute that's like, you know what, consistency is so important and staying consistent. And I know some of you guys are trying so dang hard. All of you guys are showing up. Kim has been slaying it on Host to Post, you guys. Like, I've been seeing her name pop up constantly in there, which is amazing. Carrie's been getting on every time I'm throwing in like, oh, Power Hour. She's like on it. She's getting on Power Hours, you guys. She's asking questions, doing the dang thing. Peggy's been on, I don't know how many times, several times while she was trying to work or making sure that she was getting her work done and stuff like that. You know, like, it's just been, you know, we're all doing the best that we can, you know, and if you haven't been, just start now. That's okay. Start now. You did the best that you could when you could, right? So we're going to just start now doing the best that we can. We're going to figure out, we're going to make sure that we're staying plugged into our why. We're going to make sure that we're plugging into things like this. We're going to ask for tips when we need them, ask for help when we need them, reach out when you're frustrated. Set your goals out for the rest of the month. You guys, what do we have? I should have checked it. Today's what, the 19th? So that means y'all know I suck at math. How many days do we have? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Does that mean we have 12 days? 11 or 12 days ish, right?
12 days.
12 days. Okay. Till the end of the month. So much can happen. Like, so much can happen. So whether you're going for executive, Ruby, Diamond, like April's going for Diamond. She's running for Diamond right now, you guys. And you know, whatever it is, your goal can happen this month. It absolutely can. You can develop if you still haven't found the right thing to help you with your consistency, it might be bumpy for a little bit longer, but that's okay. Figure it out. And the only way you're going to figure it out is just by trial and error and doing it. And if you fall off the wagon, you just get right back on. And that's pretty much it, you guys. I'm really excited to figure out whatever the announcement is for the call tonight, because Mark had a pretty interesting post that he made on his wall, and he's like holding something. I don't know if it is the new product that we're supposed to be getting, or if it's like some other announcement. Who knows? I would imagine that it's the new product. Anyways, he's like holding something, so I don't know. But anyways, thank you so much, April, for popping on and sharing your story with us, and just, you know, letting me highlight you a little bit, because you definitely deserve it. We appreciate you. We appreciate your consistency. We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate all the help that you do. And we cannot wait to see you go Diamond and Diamond and above. Hello, because we ain't stopping there. And thank you guys for hopping on tonight. And in about 11 minutes, Mark is going to go live and share some exciting news for us too. Oh, and Pick 2, Pick 3s are supposed to end tonight. So if they continue that on, I don't know, but those are supposed to end tonight. If any of you guys got some last minute people that you need to follow up with, to do so, and all of that stuff. Other than that, happy Sunday, you guys. And we will see you in the team page and everywhere else and the next Sunday. So bye, guys.
See ya.